We're now going to switch gears and speak to another organisation, private sector this time, about their experience of moving to the cloud. I'm delighted to have our next speaker come on board. Hopefully he's here, because I've not seen him yet. Kian Wai Lu, who is Finance and HR Manager at Diners World Travel here in Singapore. There you are. Thank you for coming. And he's going to talk about leveraging cloud capabilities to deliver value-added business advantage in a competitive landscape. You've got the solutions to all of that, is that right?
Yep, great.
Okay, a quick round of applause, please.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. My name is Kian Wai, surname is Lu. I'm the Senior Manager, HR and Finance for Diners World Travel. I'm not sure whether I'm in the right conference. Just some background about what is my work about. When I joined Diners World Travel in 2010, I was actually the finance manager. So after a while, the HR manager left, and my boss came to me and asked me, how the HR manager has left. So HR became my portfolio. So not too long after that, the IT manager also tendered his resignation. So again, my boss called me in the office, not very happy. So he said, Ken Wai, bad news again, someone left. IT then also become under my care. So after that incident, make sure my HR policy is tip-top. Nobody leaves the company, because the next one that leaves, I'm going to take on the job. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do today is that I'm going to share with you our experience, how we actually use cloud capabilities to actually deliver value-add business advantage, and in a very competitive landscape, and this is very relevant in our industry. So before I start off, let me just introduce my company. We are known as Diners World Travel. I'm sure you know the logo. It's a very international recognized brand, Diners International. We actually established in Singapore since 1972, 30 over years of operation. We actually are wholly owned subsidiaries of Diners Club Singapore, which is a credit card company. Current strengths, we have about 60 employees, so typically SME size. We have two lines of business. Our main focus basically is a travel management company, whereby we actually manage corporate travel for companies that goes on a business trip. So any corporations that have a travel budget, they come to us. We will manage their travel arrangement as well as their spending by giving insights on their travel patterns, as well as negotiating with the major carriers that they are traveling with, as well as the hotel properties that they are staying in the place of travel. And another part of our business actually comes from our outbound tours and incentive trips, and that's where we actually promote leisure travel. So, industry challenges. Earlier on I mentioned that we actually are in a very competitive landscape. Our industry is highly competitive. There is actually very low barriers of entry. Anyone in Singapore who has 100K paid-up capital can be set up as a travel agent. So as to date, I think there's more than 1,000 over travel agents in Singapore in such a small local market. So that is how competitive the market is. We also are facing with a rising operating costs. As we know, in Singapore, the rental and the manpower costs are escalating. Inflation rate is 5%. So that is the challenge that the company faces. On top of that, we also face manpower crunch. We recently have a reduction in foreign worker quota. So the quantity of pool that we can tap on for the travel industry actually shrink, and that's why we need to be very creative in our manpower deployment. As well as we know, in a travel trade, natural disasters like epidemic flu, virus outbreak will be a major hit to our industry. So things that happens like during the SARS periods or the recent H7N9 cases in China. That has an impact to our industry as well. So with that, it will translate to our IT challenges. And in our context, for IT challenges, we have this constraint of lack of space. As I mentioned earlier, rental cost is very high. The amount of space we allocate for data room or servers will be better. You will better in terms of revenue if we have actually placed it for a consultant or travel consultant, for instance. So space is always a challenge for IT, as well as the budget for manpower. So we also will need to challenge. We have this challenge of getting a budget for manpower because we need to put more people up front in the front line to generate revenue rather than maintaining the systems. And we also have this challenge of high IT investment costs. Every IT systems that we procure, we have to evaluate and make sure that it's really worth investing. And we have to make careful decisions before we embark on it so as not to result company in a very dire state whereby the investment actually cannot be recovered. And lastly, we have this mobile workforce that we need in today's world whereby everyone is moving around that need to access information. So all these are IT challenges. And with the kind of challenges, we actually push us to think towards using cloud computing. And why is it that so? When we first explore what are the platforms that we can use, we found that cloud computing actually is a very cost-effective platform that we can actually try and test out new technologies without having to commit a high investment cost. It is also easy to set up because all the equipments, the infrastructures are already been built and ready to be used at this provider end. All you need to do is to go through the commercial terms, set up the SLA, service level agreement, and go through your own internal risk assessment before. And once that's finalized, you can actually start. And that translates to a faster deployment. As long as those things are ready, in place, it's easy to set up and you get your staff to be trained and things can be turned on immediately. Another point is that it is ease of cash flow. Because for cloud computing, it is a subscription basis whereby you pay on a monthly basis or a yearly basis. So it is more predictable in terms of the cash flow for small and medium firms like us. So we can have visibility of the kind of cash flow that's going to be allocated for the investment. Resilience and redundancy is another consideration whereby for cloud computing, it now allows us to be able to house our data at another location. So with that, it helps us in our business continuity planning whereby we do not need to separately store another set of data as a backup. And the last point will be it's easy to scale in the sense that in any new investment into technology, whereby we have no visibility on the usage. With cloud computing, it allows us to scale to the level that we require as the business grows. So as compared to the conventional way whereby if you have to buy and invest in a certain servers to support certain software application, usually you need to buffer for the access. So for cloud computing, you just need to state what is required at the front end. As your activities or your load grows, you can then just scale it up accordingly. So in that way, it's very cost efficient. So ever since we are on cloud, this is what our IT people are. They're actually on Cloud 9. Because with that, we actually reduce our headcount. Previously, we had 2 headcount in the IT department, one dealing with software, one dealing hardware. So with cloud, and we moved towards more into managed services. We actually redeployed one of the staff to the operation, and that's why now we only have one IT staff handling all the solutions and managing all the vendors. And practically, he has most of the thing been managed by the cloud provider, so it's basically Cloud9. So what systems are on cloud for us? We have 3 systems that is moving cloud at different point of time. In November 2010, we started off with putting ClickView, which is an application that was hosted on the cloud. And slowly we moved on to put our email system into Office 365 in April 2011. And recently, we moved and developed a booking engine website using cloud technology, and that was recently launched in April 2013. So the first case study I'm going to share with you is about ClickView, which we actually put them on in November 2010. Our ClickView, as we know, is actually a business intelligence tool. We actually require it to actually analyze our travel data, because in our line of business, we have massive amount of data, and we need this tool to actually slice and dice the information for us to understand the travel patterns of our customers, as well as our internal business performance. So the consideration when we wanted to purchase this business intelligence tool was that we need to then allocate more servers, because it needs a lot of computing power and a lot of manpower to actually manage and maintain the servers. So having considered those considerations, we went on to explore cloud. And cloud allowed us to then be able to host this information on the cloud, whereby everyone can access. Sorry. So we went on to select Singtel Power On package, which is infrastructure as a service, and we host the application in a cloud. And it was about a 2 weeks deployment that we went through. Within the first week, we have the setup from the Singtel team, and the following week, we have the ClickView vendor setting up the ClickView application, and we test it. And once we tested it, our business intelligence tool actually can be accessed from the cloud to the desktop at the office, at the mobile devices that the staff actually uses. So with that, actually, our staff actually can work from anywhere, not only from their own homes, but other people's homes as well. So the next thing that came to us is that, okay, now we have our business intelligence on cloud, which is not an operational critical system, and we have some experience with the technology. So we take on more risk this time. Why don't we try to put our email system on the cloud? And the reasons that we think of this was that email to us as a tool, business tool, is a very important business tool, because a lot of communication link between us and the customers is through emails. So it is a very critical system that we cannot afford any downtime in times of, say, for instance, disaster situation. So we look at a lot of PCP solutions whereby we can host this, okay, maybe a backups place in another offsite location, but that will cost quite a sum of money. So after looking through at all the solutions or available platforms, we actually decided to move our email servers to Office 365. So this actually will help us to then have remote access, that's one. We also have better redundancy and security. As a SME, we will not be able to invest a lot in terms of our internal security system. So going to Microsoft Office 365, we believe and we have assessed that they have better security capabilities in terms of virus protection or intrusion. And beyond that, moving to cloud, their software updates, all these are all taken care. The maintenance are all been taken care by Microsoft. So we have very minimum manpower to be needed to actually to maintain the system. So that translates quite a number of cost savings in terms of moving towards cloud. The next one I'm going to share is the last initiative that we have started. So having the experience of the past two experience moving towards cloud, we then decided to see, okay, if we move our website to a cloud environment, maybe that will actually help us, because investing in a website, there's actually a high investment cost. You need actually a development team to actually build up the website, as well as a dedicated team to maintain it. So there's this manpower constraints that I actually shared with you earlier. We cannot have the skill or the ability to have such a big team in our organization. So what we think then is we went to this local solutions provider and Rapid Sales. They're actually a travel market specialized in building travel markets website. So they actually come to us and they actually propose to build the entire platform on the cloud infrastructure. So that actually gives us remote access. And with that, we work out with them to build standard templates that is easy for our staff to actually maintain. So with that, all we need is just one dedicated support staff who can just basically update all the contents into the website and maintain it as well. So for us, it then saves us the cost of actually having a dedicated team of developers as well as online producers to actually maintain it. So, and in terms of scalability, is that it also gives us some comfort zone in terms of when we know that in the initial stage, your traffic will not be that huge. So as it grows along the way, we will be able to scale it up accordingly. So this is the website that we actually come up with using cloud technology. So my staff actually will be able to access to the website admin page by clicking the URL, a dedicated URL. You put down the information and they can go into the back-end system to do all the pricing update as well as the content update. And it's also mobile friendly in the sense that it actually fits into a Windows phone, a smartphone like iPhone, as well as Android phone. And it also enables to allow us to have the EDM capability to send out EDMs to our target audience, and it links directly to our customer relationship management system. So beyond all the benefits that I just shared, I think in terms of the government push for cloud adoption is that they provide productivity innovation credit. So for every dollar that you spend actually on cloud expenditure, you get back 68 cents, which is from the PIC credit. And on top of that, I think IDA also have this industry-specific scheme promoting the adoption of SaaS. So in terms of our travel industry, we actually have working with a vendor whereby they are working with various travel agents to actually upload all the content in a single cloud platform so that everyone can just download the information and share contents to be able to sell to their own customers. So I think that is in progress. So I think the next thing that will definitely be a concern for everyone when we say, why do we go to cloud, will be that it's a security concern. I think finding the right partner for the cloud is very important. So I think in our context, we felt that the third-party vendor has no interest in our data. So I think they have to ensure that the security works so that the entire business model can work for them. And in an organization like us, whereby we only have one person, the risk management is the same. The IT person that we recruit is as good as the person who has all the access to the system. So I think by putting it on cloud, they have more layers of protection in terms of the various access. So, for instance, this is what I have. So that's about the cloud security concern. I will share this quote from somebody. It is not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent that survive. It is the one that is the most adaptable to change. Any guess who's the person who made the quote? Yes, it's Charles Darwin. And this is his face. It's another quote. Okay, the technology race is never ending. We have to constantly be a step ahead, purchasing the latest equipment and the best software in the rapidly evolving market. Cloud-based model will give us the confidence of expanding our service cost effectively with less risk. Any idea who is the person who made the quote? Okay, it's none other than myself. Okay, so what I just share is, I think, just typically my company's experience. We are driven much more to cloud because of the cost constraint, manpower constraint. And we also noted the security concern whereby we did our internal risk assessment. Ultimately, I think what happens for us is that we felt that for cloud computing, it actually put us on a level playing field with the bigger boys because we do not have the financial capability, the resource to compete them to buy the latest technology. But with cloud, we can try. We can actually try at a very low cost and then to see whether this thing works for us at a very minimum damage. So that puts us on a level playing field with our bigger competitors. So what happens when everyone is going to be on cloud? This one is just to end the presentation. Okay, with that, I think I will end my presentation. Thank you very much.
So a very positive view of cloud computing. A very positive view.
Yep.
From someone who's not 100% techie either.
Yeah, correct.
Business focused.
Yes, correct.
So it's not been a hard sell, and it's worked.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, it's not. So it's all driven by the fact that we have all the constraints. That's why when we started off with having to build our first business intelligence tool, we couldn't find space for our server. So that's when we brainstormed with the IT team, and then we thought of cloud technologies. So we also have the earlier concerns about cloud because it's a new technology. Everyone is not very receptive of the idea, especially the top management. But so we went on to just put non-critical system first into the cloud, and we tried to test it out and see whether it works. So once we have the comfort level, we then move on to more critical system like emails as well as the website. Yeah.
Great. Any questions from the audience? Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.